Welcome to Behind the BNB podcast, where we go beyond the bookings and take you inside the real stories, strategies, and struggles behind every Airbnb success. I'm your host, Steph Murphy, and each week we will sit down with real hosts, industry experts, and inspiring guests to uncover what really goes on behind the scenes of short-term rentals. Whether you're just getting started, scaling your property portfolio, or simply love a good story, you'll find practical tips, honest conversations, and a few laughs along the way. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's go behind the B&B. Hi guys, Steph Murphy here, and I'm so excited to introduce our very first guest on Behind the BNB. It's Adolfo and Stevie from Northern California. So about 18 months ago, they joined our coaching program, and since then have built a thriving short-term rental business with properties in Sacramento, San Jose, and Napa Valley, all while welcoming their baby boy along the way. Today, they're not only successful hosts, but also incredible coaches within our growing community. It's truly an honor to be able to interview them and have them on the show today. Please welcome Adolfo and Stevie of Noble Oversight. Guys, hi.
Thanks for having us on, Steph. It's been a joy to get to know you and James throughout this past almost 2 years now. We started our company back in 2023, right after our baby was born. So July 17th is when our baby was born, and we knew we had to do something. So freedom, creating some passive cash flow was 100% on our minds, and we had no idea how we were going to do it. But in the months leading up to the pregnancy, I had been showing Stevie late at night, check this out.
Literally late at night.
Yeah.
Planting this small seed.
Planting the little seed of look what this couple's doing. And I'm like, we got to do this. And we had only been renting out rooms at that point. And so we're in Northern California. We know it's competitive. We know it's busy. And I just knew that we had to do this. And so told her about it. Launched our company in August, found mentorship, and then it's been a wild ride since then.
Sure has, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And you make it sound so simple. It's yep, there's some videos, sow the seeds, Stevie on board. How long did it actually take you, Stevie, to get on board and actually understand what Adolfo is showing you?
I think it's taken me probably till now to really understand what's going on. But we were just in a position where, our corporate jobs, we left those. And then I was pursuing just something that wasn't going to make sense once our baby was born. And him as the leader in our family is I got to do something as well. So it was those seeds right before bed, probably so I could start dream building a little bit hey, things are going to get better. We're actually going to be doing this. And your life's going to change. We're going to, be able to live out our values. So that's what I think kept me on board. And then him actually showing the Instagram, hey, check this out, So that's what I think started the belief. But now I understand exactly what we're doing, and it's so exciting.
That's so cool. And so how long has it actually been since you started, since you came into the program, and how long has that been? About a year, 2 years?
It's going to be a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
It feels longer, really does. Feels like we've known you guys longer, right? I think when you just connect with the right people and the values are aligned, it just feels like this was meant to be, right? You were supposed to connect with somebody completely across the world. Right?
At that point, right? You just never know who it is.
It's Thursday for you. It's Wednesday for us right now. It's kind of crazy when we think about that. The time zone differences is wild.
Yeah.
But it's been a year, and it's not easy. It's business ownership, right? So this does require a certain test of your will, your spirit, and you have to have a strong why. But for us, when we got around the mentorship, we were we know we need people that are currently doing this. Because if we go to our current circle, nobody knows how to operate this. Who's going to really help us? So if we had belief coming from people that have done this, we're all right, that's what's going to be the game changer for us.
That's amazing. I love hearing that. And so, you said when you first came into this, you've had a why. So do you mind sharing what that is?
I think obviously our biggest why is, we started a family kind of quick, we were family planning within 6 months. So being able to, I think, just have more I guess freedom, like time freedom. We realized that was such a big thing, especially him coming from a corporate background and not having any time. Like that was probably the biggest thing, and not living, I guess, like what the stereotypical, I guess people would say, because people would say like, oh, what are you gonna do once the baby's born? And we actually did something different. So we haven't been apart from our son, which I never imagined that would happen until this came into our life and we're able to meet you two as a couple, like doing this and having more kids. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's just like being a legit family.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, I'm not afraid of work. I mean,
too.
yeah, and I work 6 days. But family background, like you work your butt off, and that's just very normal. And even in American culture, I would say it's very normal to like work a lot of hours. But there is a tide that's shifting, and people understand that you have to be in a position of owning your life and owning your time and take your health back and take your time back. And I had no idea how that was going to happen. Even when we started this, like our belief was still low. So the why was like at first, hey, let's just get like an extra 1,500, 2,000 coming in.
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't even to like, let's build this.
Like, let's be millionaires. Yeah,
big.
it wasn't on the radar.
It wasn't there yet. It was like, hey, I just, baby's born now. I'm working 1099, so I got 2 weeks off for my paternity leave. And
it's not enough time.
No income coming in during that time because I'm 1099. So, and she had no income coming in either. So I'm like, look, I'm getting some business credit and we're doing this thing.
That was scary too to hear that because I've never had a credit
card. Yeah, and that was always one of her biggest fears. It was like, how are you going to pay off the debt?
That was the scariest part. Yeah.
Because for her, in her mind, it's always been implanted like debt's bad. Dave Ramsey, right? Like, all the courses, right? Like,
Dave Ramsey's huge, right? Yeah.
It's huge for a lot of people. And it's good if you want to, live, very simply. But I think we had bigger dreams in mind. It was in the backdrop, but it started with just like, hey, we need an extra 1,500 at first.
Yeah.
That was just like us as well. I'm at home with the kids. What can I do to earn a bit of extra money? And then, you're like, you just start such humble beginnings. And now let's talk about your portfolio. How many properties have we got in Noble Oversight? How many are we managing?
Yeah, we've gone up to 8. We did have a stint where we were like gonna do 11, but then we're like, you know what? It doesn't fit our portfolio. Let's stick with the 8.
Yeah.
But we're literally about to launch 2 more this month. So we're gonna be at 10. Double digits, and we think we're going to be at another 10 by the end of the year. Like,
for sure,
we're in growth mode, and it's happening. And with James's guidance and tutelage, like he obviously he's very interested in getting in the U.S. market, and he's like, dude, I want to help you scale. And so we're super excited for like what those next steps are, because those 10, we don't know where they are yet, but they're coming.
Oh, they're there. Oh, just got to find them.
Exactly.
Let's talk about some of your Airbnbs. And what we'll do is we'll have, a screen showing some of your Airbnbs, your listings, because they are beautifully done. They are so cozy, so homely. So, Stevie, that was all you.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah. Which one have you got a favorite?
It's so hard because I always think I do, because when we have some that are so close that we can go visit. So like I feel like each one has its own thing. But I guess like we have one that it was like a combination of like my mom's house and my best friend's house. So I just took all the elements I loved about it, and like literally when you walk in, it just feels like so serene, and it has like live plants and like the most simple things, but sometimes like simplicity is better. Like I was just there today checking on my plants, and I was just like, oh, I could totally stay here. And we have great amenities there too. There's a cold plunge, there's a hot tub, and then like a dry sauna, which I love the dry sauna.
Is this the one in, is it Napa Valley?
No, but that one's a good one.
That one's great too. Yeah, that one's great too. But it has some of the same features.
This one's in Sacramento.
Oh, this one's in Sacramento. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw the Napa Valley one. I'm like, does that one have a hot tub as well?
It
It
does.
does.
And it
looks
has like the
amazing.
most awesome fire pit because it's gas, so the
Yes.
flame is like
Huge.
bonfire status.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
good
we're going to
one for
bring
families.
images and pictures of those up as well. We'll show everyone these. Yeah. I love what you said when you were in the property today that you could just live there. And that's I love that. I think Stevie, we could even talk a little bit about that. You know, when it comes to designing the Airbnbs, if you design it in such a way that you would want to stay there, as if it's not going to get booked, right? Of course, there's so many other elements that come into it. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that as well, you know, the right location. So Adolfo, is it you sourcing them, finding the units, and then Stevie's coming in doing the fit out? That's sort of the team, how the team works.
That's how the team
Like,
works.
when we go through the
Yeah.
walkthrough, it's like, hey, do you think you could make
Yeah.
this into? And I was like,
Yeah, we've gone on property
Yeah.
walkthroughs with landlords, and if we don't get a good feeling from the place, we don't even pitch it at that point, you know, just because we want to make sure it's the right vibe. But, you know, for the most part, we do a lot of due diligence before we get there.
Yeah,
And then I'm
let's
like,
talk a
okay,
bit about that
Stevie.
because people want
Yeah,
to know,
absolutely.
you know, people who are sitting on the fence, they're overwhelmed by all this info that is out there. It's like, okay, let's just go
Right.
back to basics. How do you find
Absolutely.
the first property? How do you go about it?
Yeah, that's funny because, you know, when we're talking about that favorite property, I feel like I like our first one the most just because of like
the story behind
the
it.
story behind it, how we launched it. We've got a great relationship with the owner. This is his recording studio that we're in, and it's actually
Yes.
right.
Okay. I
Like,
love that there's a story. You're gonna have to share that. What's the
Yeah, we
story
will.
behind it? Yeah.
because yeah, to keep it simple, right? For the newest person that's kind of looking at this business, it's like this is all about relationships and trust.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and so when you're looking at a landlord, are you going to get along with every single one? No, right? But I actually pitched this owner on my own when he had a different listing. He's a real estate investor in the market, so he has multiple homes in the area. And when I pitched that other home, which had a pool, it was really nice. He liked the idea. He was still a little wary, and he was like, "Well, I'm not too sure about this property, but I have one in the downtown area that he's like, I used to run it as an Airbnb."
Yeah.
And so I was just like, "Okay, cool." And he had medical students here, and it was trashed, and it just did not look good. So it was just so easy from our perspective to come in and offer value. Hey, we can take this property off your hands and we can turn it into the short-term rental. We'll sign a subleasing agreement. And he was all about it. You know, even to the point where we were able to negotiate 1 month off of free rent.
Yeah, to get it going.
Yeah, to get it going because, you know, it wasn't in the best of
We
shape.
took it as we took it as is. Best of shape in the sense that like when you have certain tenants, it's just random stuff. Like
Yeah.
there was just so much stuff that like if we were to run it as an Airbnb, it probably wouldn't profit the way it did versus like our remodel. So that 1 month was so pivotal for us because we took everything out. It all went to the dump or like on the curb, you know, posted it for people to come free pick up. And then we had to paint because some of the walls just like weren't, you know, they were yellow and brown, you know, it was back in
Weird
the
colors.
80s
Yeah.
probably.
Needed a
So
complete overhaul by the sounds of it.
it was super humbling because like that was literally our start. That was our shot.
That
We
was our
were
shot.
just
Yeah.
all his confidence to like talk to him and mine coming in. And I remember that was the first time he used that phrase, like, "Do you think you can do something with this, babe?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Sure.
whatever, yeah." And yeah, that one, it's incredible. And yeah, that one's really
Just huge credit to her because she had the vision. And mind you, she had just delivered a baby
They
about a
literally
month
just had it.
prior. I'm like,
Oh my
so she's so
goodness.
powerful, Steph. I'm
Wow.
just like, I feel blessed because like, you
It's
know,
just-
she went and
What
just
a woman.
what a woman, right?
Like
it was
now.
blown away.
Back
right?
then, it was hard.
It was tough.
Yeah, it was very
Wow.
tough. But
Just a cool story behind that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And the fact that you know, you touched on relationship. I'm like, yes, it is everything in business, isn't it? And the fact that that was your first property with that landlord. How did you even meet the landlord, by the way?
It was on a property walkthrough for a different one that he was renting. I showed up.
Yeah.
He was doing like
Oh,
an
you just
open
turned
house.
up.
He did an open house and I showed up and
Okay.
I pitched it and he's just cool. He was just someone that we instantly connected. And of course he was very aloof. He's like, "Well, I might have another property, you know, I'll
That you can
reach
try
out to
this
you."
with. Yeah.
yeah, if it's available, I'll reach out to you. And he was playing the aloofness, and I was like, okay, well, I might be interested, And
Yeah.
so we just connected, and then it became available, and we walked it. And he was like, yeah, here's the furniture. You could use it for your Airbnb, and it was just janky.
Yeah.
We were respectful of the space, but we, and it was just funny because when people say like, oh yeah, I've tried Airbnb, I'm like, yeah, you haven't done it the way like James and Steph teach it, right? Like it hasn't, you haven't interior designed it, you haven't marketed it the right way. There's so many people that, hobby hosts that just
Yeah.
get started. So we knew we'd turn that thing around. Well, at least I knew that Stevie had the touch. I had the confidence in that. And
Yeah.
we just took it from there. So.
Yeah. So we're definitely, we're throwing up pictures and we're having a look at this incredible property that was your first, it's your baby, isn't it? Your first
It
one.
is actually,
it's
yeah.
always so special.
It paid itself off in 7 months.
I was going to ask that next. Yeah. Let's talk numbers.
Let's talk the numbers.
You're good at this.
Paid itself off in 7 months. And from there, it's been consistent 2,500. 2,000 and 2,500 in the good months.
Okay.
And then to stay within city regulations, we've had to do some 30-day stays. And so, we'll take like an $800 profit during those months. And that's just to be in regulation, right? Because we can't, can't do full short term the whole year. But
what's the rules over there? Is it, have you got the 90-day rule?
It is. It's the 90-day.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
exactly.
there are some ways around it where as you said, you take on those longer lease terms. And are you still then covering the rent?
Yeah, we're still able to profit like 800 to 1,000. It's just highly desired, right?
Yeah.
So many people, like even when we put it up, there was multiple people competing for like that 1 month. It's right next to a very popular restaurant here. It's a Michelin star rated restaurant. One of the investors of the restaurant, he was like, hey, I would love to stay there because I'm frequently visiting, and I'm one of the investors in Cannon right here in East Sac. It's walkable.
Nice. That's what
we just had several people just competing for it. So
but what's so interesting is that this home doesn't have a TV. So
really?
and we don't have people that very, very like maybe 1% of people like, hey, there's no TV, but I think people really enjoy that. It's like a centennial home. So we curated it that way with like a record player and a lot of like games. And of course there's a hot tub in the back.
I think that's the one that we'll stay in when we come to visit.
You want to go? No TV. The kids are going to be like,
that one sounds nice. It sounds nice enough for me. Yeah. Okay, cool. So with that landlord that you worked with, has he... so you were sharing a little bit about the fact that you're in this studio. That's it. Yeah, I'm like backtracking. So he has this podcast studio that you guys are currently in.
Well, he offered it in the very beginning, like, and we were like, oh yeah, like maybe like what would we talk about, So it's cool. Like you don't ever know, where things are going to lead, and now have the opportunity to be like, hey, we actually want to borrow that so we can connect with some of our business mentors. So
he's just cool. He's Sacramento native. He does home lending. He's very well known in the space, and we're gonna invite them to our wedding as well, just because we feel like there's just a good connection there. Eventually that other home that he has with it's a 4-bedroom house with a pool. We're like, hey, that, you're going to lease that to me at some point. You know that, right?
You still want that one. You were telling me.
I still want that one. It's a 4-bedroom house. The rent would be like 4,000, which would be, I'm like, I know we'd crush it with that one for sure.
How many bedrooms is that one?
4.
4 bedrooms. Yeah.
So
maybe one day.
Yeah.
Has James seen that one?
No,
not yet.
At
that point,
they would really get along. Actually,
yeah, they would. Yeah, for sure, he would.
The trip to America it's in the pipeline. It's got to happen.
Wait. Yeah, that's gonna be so cool.
We're hoping to try and fit it in this year. We just have to somehow work around the kids' like holiday terms and their breaks.
Yep.
And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I've said to James, should we just homeschool them? Then we could just travel so much more. And he's like, I don't know. Neither of us could commit to that, really.
That is funny.
It's a brave soul to homeschool your kids.
It
for
does.
Sure. Yeah.
It does.
I think it's easier when they're young, when they're not in school. So it's like, you guys could do that,
True.
If you wanted to try and fit more traveling in, the time to do it is when they're under 5, before they start school.
Oh, that's true.
I didn't know that.
We're
Oh, you're
literally
welcome.
trying to start. Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll come and visit you first, probably.
Yeah, let's do
To
that.
meet
Go the other way
people, yeah.
around. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about, lessons from the coaching program. What sort of key strategies or insights do you feel like you gained? I love also that you guys are coaching. You know, you're also coaches. So, I mean, you can speak from that authority, you know. And for anyone listening, it's like, okay, why would anyone want to sign up to coaching? I know you kind of touched on it before.
Coaching, I mean, for me, when we were first getting into the program, it was really pivotal because I would go out and make mistakes, and then I had somewhere to go back and circle and be like, hey, I said this, I did this, and then kind of get an idea of like how to move forward or, you know, what to kind of change. And that was big too, because having that environment, instead of like running to him when something went wrong, I actually could go and like run and have a solution and then feel confident talking about it, like, hey, this happened, but you know, I did this and now we're gonna do that. And I think that's such a key thing that people miss out on, is like having access to people that are like a little bit ahead of you or even further ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's big. Or people get a little timid of like not wanting to ask like a stupid question, for example, or I think that's where people get stuck. So it's like, I don't know, I think it's just really important to
That was good. Yeah. I think, you know, that's Stevie's perspective. And obviously, like, opposites attract, right? So, like, Stevie's strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. So, like, she didn't want to make a mistake. And I could be more of a gunslinger. I'm like, oh, let's go, right? And let's shoot, let's make things happen. So that's why for coaching, for me, I was like, I need guidance. I was like, I can easily get myself in trouble, right? If I'm not getting good feedback, good strategy, like let's learn how to run the numbers correctly. So due diligence, I'm like, I had so many coaches like show me good due diligence on like how to run your numbers. I'm like, that's everything.
Yeah, that's
You're just minimizing your mistakes.
It can be the make or break of your business sometimes, you know, because you have to do your market research, you know, as you say, and then it's always helpful to have someone that you can kind of bounce ideas off as well, but also, hey, have I considered absolutely everything that I need to before I take this step? You know, I like to say it's risk, but it's calculated risk.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, Stevie, coming back to you, I love that you shared, you know, about you didn't run to Adolfo for, you know, if you were struggling with something, and so you found, you know, you had a community of people to kind of come into and kind of share the challenges.
The part, and that's and that's what you're joining, is like a community, and that was, I think, a big changer for us. You know, because we did launch a few listings just out of the gate, right, with any knowledge that we had, but what really kind of like filled the cracks was the community and the ability to coach and ask those questions and like ask those questions again. And I mean, we're like any couple, right? We argue and stuff. So it's very challenging to be in business, especially we never had a business like with your significant other. So if I could minimize, you know, some of the bandwidth of like figuring it out, then
absolutely,
you know, then I did. And I think it's brought us together, like this whole entire business.
And we knew that, you know, our background, like, you know, from a young age, like we hadn't really been taught like how to be business owners, but we had been taught, like, and even in our faith, like, hey, we need to like pursue God, right? Pursuing God is going to bring us together. But working in a job situation is like, well, you're away from yourselves like 8 to 10 hours a day. So for us, like running a business together, we're like that is a true relationship. Like it does bring out like the best and the worst, right? Like
let's
she
be honest.
mentioned. It's gonna bring out some of those claws where it's like, whoa, you know. But for us, it's been something that's healthy, and that we have, especially if we have the guidance. And you know, you have to be winning in business too. You know, you have to have that feeling like, hey, we're stacking wins, we're doing things as a couple, you know, we're buying our time back little by little. We're just doing things that a lot of the I see, you know, a lot of people want to be accomplishing, and for whatever reason they hold back. And I know because that it held us back too. Like we were one of those people too, where we're just outside looking in, like, wow, it'd be really nice if, and wow, one day with, you know, when that happens. So we just decided, like, look, and ultimately the baby's everything. So we give them all the credit, you know, second to God, you know. But we feel really good about, like, hey, we've come together, we've gotten guidance, and yeah, we feel good about that.
Yeah, definitely confident, like continuing to move forward because
Yeah.
of the guidance that's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And so we just
incredible.
want to
And you
give
guys
back.
make a good team. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And so that's why, like, we like to give back, right? So for us,
Yeah.
coaching is like, look, can we help somebody? Absolutely. Like we'd love to be able to serve and be of use, and like, you know, give a little bit of that time back to say, like, hey, who needs some help, and how do we be there for them, you know? And obviously we can't be everything for them, you know, but if they have a need, and you know, it's like we want to put our hand out there and say, hey, we can totally be there to kind of guide that journey for sure.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I'm sure you guys are incredible coaches. I'm like, I've not sat in a session like where you guys are giving that coaching, but just from what I'm hearing, the fact that
We defer
you
to
love
you.
to help. Hey?
We would defer to you. Would be like, oh, Steph's on, like, she's got to coach you.
You know, James has been trying to get me into coaching for a while, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's a funny one, but then I said, look, why don't I do this? I think people have heard enough of our story. Let's talk to all the students and the coaches within the program, and in this incredible community of people that I'm in this what's the chat, weekly wins on Slack.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's over 800 people in there.
Yep.
And I know that it's a
Exactly.
mix of coaches and all the team and everything, but I'm like, wow. I'm just realizing more and more, because I'm obviously wanting to hear more stories, and I'm like, who's doing amazing things? I mean, yeah, and the community itself is just thriving. And I just think within that community, we need to, just pull these people out who are willing to jump on a podcast with me, because I don't think everyone's that keen. They're like, what do you mean? We're recording. I don't know what to talk about. I'm like, don't worry, I'll try and guide you as much as possible. I've not done a podcast before, but you know,
That's good.
so far
That
so
is
good. And I just think what an incredible community that we do have, and the team and coaches like you and Daryl and Kristen and all the guys that are in there are just, it's really beautiful what's been cultivated and built over the past few years. So it's really cool.
And that's a big point there, that it's like, this is consistent year over year over year. Like, you can come to expect that, and it's you know, it's kind of uh like a pillar that you can lean on,
That's good.
you know? Like, and I've seen that, like, yeah, absolutely. Like, especially when I'm one of those guys on Instagram where, like, I'll scroll back,
Yeah.
you know,
To
like,
look at somebody.
I'm like, hey, let's find out, like, what they were doing before, right? Like,
Oh, you're one of the stalkers. It goes all the way. No, I'm joking. Not a stalker.
A troll.
A little bit, right? I don't hit like, right? Because that's weird.
Or just
Like,
be careful. Yeah.
James is like, why is this guy liking my
Right?
photo
Like-
from 4 years ago? But I like to do that because I'm like, I want to see where people were at,
Yeah.
kind of what they were doing, and where's
Yeah.
the consistency. And I'm like, I've seen consistency 100% of the way.
Yeah. That's good.
So,
Even on mine, even though I've like, it was Airbnb, there was like real estate, and then it's like it's all property. For me, I'm like, I'm passionate about property.
it is property.
Stop. Yeah.
There's a theme to it, at least, you know?
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
No.
And
I
then
don't
the
want to
kids are
share
thrown in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to share. I think I've only done it like once. Okay. It's not like I've gone back multiple times, but I do remember, because I'm very visual. Like, I'm like that brain that if I see something, I can like remember it. So yeah, for sure. I've seen that.
That's a great quality to have. It's very helpful, you know,
Yeah.
when you're viewing properties, for example, you remember exactly what you've seen, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So guys, can we share, because, you know, not everything is sunshine and butterflies or roses and rainbows, challenges, sort of what has been the biggest test, the biggest challenge where you didn't think you were going to get out, but you made it through?
Yeah, there's always little.
Like, yeah, it's not like they
It's different.
I think, yeah, let's talk about that. I think because we're experiencing it now, especially more that we've grown so much, and it's the cleaning team, and it's finding, how do you explain it? Like, just reliability. And when you kind of get to a point where like you've curated a space and you've put so much effort and like, things are in place for a reason and they serve a purpose, it's trying to be able to communicate that in like an assertive way, but then also having a relationship, because like your cleaners are your eyes and your ears.
Yeah.
So it's so important that you're treating them with respect, right? And they feel valued because they are doing a service. But then there is the expectation of like, hey, if this, that. I mean, sometimes it gets down to like, hey, my plant's in the wrong spot. Like it needs to be in a different spot.
Oh yeah.
But
we need that
I think that's what
some people can relate to
in my
that.
heart. I'm like, babe, it's totally fine. And Stevie's like,
It's the
no,
experience.
I need my plant here. And I'm like,
I get it.
But it's been
Yeah.
so we've had to, I guess, turn and burn a little bit with some teammates. Like we always give, chances and stuff to make it work, because not everybody in the space knows how to like do an Airbnb turnover. And that was something I had to like educate myself on, to be able to like teach and put together, guidebooks and things like that. But they're all things that do take time. And sometimes it falls back on you if you don't have those systems that are just like automated.
Yeah,
So
let's talk about the systems.
Yeah, systems are so important.
We need them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, hopping on some of there's one of the coaching calls dedicated just to housekeeping, right? So we've gotten the standard operating procedures from there. We've seen that. And so we've seen success, but what we're really trying to do is we want to remove ourselves from the managing of the actual execution. So we're in the middle of hiring an operations manager that follows up on all of the cleanings, and that's their main responsibility. So it doesn't have to come to us, right? With a few listings, it's very doable. You have only a certain amount of checkouts, but when you have 4 or 5 happening in a 2-day period,
or in a 1 day, that's been happening.
That has happened where it's like 4 or 5 turnovers in 1 day.
Different cities.
Yeah. So so we're building an operations team, and we're utilizing all the systems available to, make sure that they understand the expectation. We know we can set up a quick FaceTime. Operations manager calls and it's like, hey, let's double check everything before you leave that property and make sure that next guest gives us a 5-star. And I mean, we average a 4.96 on Airbnb, and so we're up there, right? And so,
but it does come down to my plants. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but it's because of the plant. Exactly, the plant is in the right spot. That's what.
It has to be alive.
I guess, and that's the biggest thing we've learned too, is like having relationships from the time somebody's checking in to the very end to like secure the 5-star and just make sure that they had an incredible experience. So that's a game changer. Yeah, it's so important, and that's probably the next challenging thing besides the cleaning team is just having, how do we explain it, babe? Like,
we're just elevating
how do you stay at 4.99 stars?
Basically, yeah. We're curating the experience, and I think we're just elevating every single aspect of our journey. It's just like, how do we elevate it? Without having to put like, we don't want to put extra hours in, right? Like that's not like, we probably could, I could drive and like put in so many extra hours just to like perfect every little thing, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a team. We're leaders, right? We're leaders in the organization. So we're casting a vision. We're putting processes in place that can capture all of it. But yeah, it's, we love our time. We love our freedom too. So it's a healthy balance of like, hey, let's elevate, but let's make sure that we're putting the right things first.
Yes, we're not just leaving it behind, for it to fall apart. Because
well, you need the team to be able to take those things away from you that anyone can do, really, to free you up for the things that no one else can do. And that is to continue to take the business forward. As you said, you're casting the vision, you're the leaders, you got to lead the way. You're not going to be able to do that if you're going to get caught in the nitty gritty of the business,
Yeah. And I had to learn that. And that was something that Adolfo had to share that you and James were doing. And that's just what makes sense for growth, because I think me as like a
Absolutely.
recovering perfectionist and also a woman, it's
Yeah.
like you're like I can have my hand in every pot and do
Yeah.
this and do that, but like the reality is it's like yes you can, but should you? No,
Mm,
because that does stunt you from growth, right? You
Yeah.
do have
exactly.
to, yeah, kind of let that go in a healthy way,
Yeah.
and then
And it can be
yeah,
hard to let
automate.
it go, especially if you are, I think Stevie, we talked a little bit about this on the phone call we had the other day. You're a bit of a micromanager. I feel like it's like that in the beginning because you do want to perfect it, and then you're like, okay,
Yeah.
now I know what I want. Now you
Yeah.
feel, you could hand it on because you're like, okay, I've done absolutely everything. I've had my hand in a bit of everything, so I understand it to be able to then pass it on and teach someone how to then
Yes.
manage it for me. Step away, only like one step, still keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
And then eventually a few more steps away until, but they need that as well to feel confident, in themselves and what they're doing and can actually, do the job for you. So, yeah, that's great. I love that you guys shared that as well. And, very real challenges in business, especially when, yeah, you're still building, you're still growing, you're scaling. So we touched on, yeah, you said 10 properties, what, in the next couple of months, but then another 10 by the end of this year. So is it
Uh,
second quarter of this year? We're
yep.
gonna we're gonna go hard or go home.
We're going
Oh
hard.
yeah, he's already like I think prepared me that we're
Yeah,
Yeah.
going hard. So
Yeah.
yeah. You've got your
it's
fit out
exciting.
team ready, Stevie.
I think so. We'll get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Literally, we've been talking
You're
about
gonna
like, okay,
advertise.
how.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna be posting some ads like, hey, who wants to be a part of that, right? Who wants to help us, decorate? Maybe take a couple
We
properties
did
and
talk about
we
that.
guide
Yeah.
that. And yeah, talking with James about it, he's like, we can launch 10, which there's
Blows my
7 months
mind.
left in the year. He's like, basically, it's one per month and a couple months where you do two, and we're doing two this month, and it just happened.
Definitely.
And we're already lined up for number three next month. So we already have like, yeah, that's already happening. So it's cool. Yeah, we're pumped. 2025 is gonna be great, and we just think it's only gonna get better in 2026. Uh, just with our knowledge, the growth of our team and how we manage it. Yeah, we see some good things happening. So we're pumped.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff ahead. Apart from, like you guys doing what you're doing, what are you guys reading? Like what else are you listening to? Is there anything else, that maybe, I don't know, like let's talk a little bit about mindset stuff because I love your guys' mindset, you know? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it didn't come overnight, that's for sure. I probably
Yeah.
finished my first book when I met Adolfo, and it was like 100 pages. And it was the it was the book Who Moved My Cheese, and it had pictures in it, but
Oh,
such
okay.
a
Yeah.
great book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That one was good.
that's a really good one. But I mean, you should he has a whole library. That was something I
I think
really
I
took
saw
to.
that in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
in that room.
And he's actually
Yes.
read all of them. Like I
Yeah.
asked, I was like, "So you like read these?" He's like, "Yeah." And it's really cool. So why don't you talk about books?
Oh, yeah.
What have you been reading?
I mean, in my 20s, I didn't read a book. I mean, so
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it was very much like not there, right?
Mm,
Mentally. I always had like a winning mindset. Like, so I was like an aggressive go-getter, right?
mm,
But I was totally sold out and working like 80 hours a week in my corporate, making good money,
mm.
close to 300 grand a year.
Wow.
But I wasn't reading, I wasn't personally growing. So
Mm.
within
It
that
didn't sound like you had
organization,
time for any of that anyway, if you're
I
working 80 hours a week.
legitimately,
It's true.
Gosh.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But then, life changed. We got around business owners. We saw a different life that was possible. And I guess yeah, that did start with me, right? In terms
Yeah.
of my personal journey before Stevie came into the picture, because I was looking for Stevie,
We
right?
call it his
That's
BS days before Stevie.
yeah,
So it's he's totally
No.
different. So I think that's why I was attracted to him because, he had totally different
I
mindset.
became a different man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally. And that
Yeah.
drew me to like want to be a different woman. And they're so powerful. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is, I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but there is so much knowledge message, and there's so much practicality in reading even just like 15 minutes a day. And those are habits that we implement every day, whether it's reading our Bible or a book that we've chosen this month. Adolfo's like a super reader, so he has like 2-3 going on at the same time. But they're all mindset books that not are like, you don't just go to the store and you're like, okay, self-help, or like, I'm going to choose this. Like, they have purpose, and they're usually business driven, and like you're saying, like psychology and mindset driven, and how to like literally change your brain, which is incredible.
What are you guys reading at the moment then? You said you guys are reading a book together. Is that right?
So we always read the Bible. So we read Bible every single morning. So it started with our faith. I am reading 12-week year. I just finished Inked. I also
that book. We've got that 12-week one somewhere. I've seen
12-week years. Good. Profit First. James recommended that one.
Yes.
Solid book. The Traveler's Gift was a very good one. That's a good story.
Yeah, we did read that one together.
I hadn't read Think and Grow Rich since like 2018. So I picked that one up again. Tons of nuggets in that one that I'm like, well, this is really, I totally missed a lot of stuff in that one. So
who's that one by? That's not a Robert Kiyosaki book, is it?
Napoleon Hill. So
Napoleon Hill.
pre Kiyosaki, right? This is back in the 19.
Yeah. I picked up Robert's book not long ago as well. His very first one. I have a mental.
Oh, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That's the one. I just had a mental blank. Because we bought our kids the kids version
of that
book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not the game yet, but we should buy the game. I think it's only sold in the US though, so we'd have to order it. But our daughter, yeah. Oh well, when we come, we'll just pick it up.
That's it.
I expect it to be in our Airbnb,
right?
That's funny.
But our 8-year-old daughter picked it up the other day, the kids' version of the book, and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and she read through the whole thing like in, I think she did over 2 nights, and then she was asking what assets and liabilities are. She's like, I've read about assets and liabilities, and I was just wondering, I'm like, at 8 years old, if I was like on that at 8 I'm like, okay, yep, this is we are doing something right here as parents. I'm so proud of us.
That's so good.
This is the beauty of us doing what we do. Where you know, have you got family that have started businesses?
So started businesses, but they are starting to catch the vision, I think, because we've put action. I know, like, we were kind of like hopefully they're not watching this right now, but like the family, they would joke around, like they would look at something and be like, oh, you could Airbnb that, and we'd be like, maybe.
Became the joke,
So it's cool to see, like, because of the way we've like changed our brains and like how we've, I guess, like developed, especially this like almost 2 years, like they're starting to catch it, and you know, they're wanting to read and like be a part of something, and maybe start their own business. I don't know.
I mean, even when you're families,
like breaking change, just trying to be
we are
actually being different, right? Like in a positive way. And
even when I think about that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think the cover of the book explains it all. Right? You have a rich dad, and that wasn't Robert's physical dad, right? And he had his poor dad. That was his physical dad that guided him in a different direction. It's all about, who do you listen to? So that's the whole point of the book. It's like, who are you going to get guidance from? You can choose your mentor, so to speak, and the voices that you listen to kind of determine the life that you live. And so for us, like, we knew that, all right, like, that's the kind of life we want to live. Who's doing that currently? And how do we get around them? And how do we like build a relationship? And how do we like stick out? And like for us, like, you know, we had a couple, you know, sessions with James, and we're on his mind, right? In a good way, you know? And so we're like, cool, that's good, right? But we had to just go out and do it.
The action.
And like take some action to like be there.
And the choice. You made the choice. Everyone has choices.
Everyone does have their own choice. Absolutely.
You know, the choice to just continue to sit on the fence. Yes, I'm talking to you guys who are watching this podcast, sitting on the fence, you know, maybe year after year, they've not made any steps forward. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it can be difficult because I do get people in my DMs that are like, okay, I've got 3 young children, therefore I'm time poor. I get it.
Yep.
And, you know, but it's like, it's going to take sacrifices. It's a choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going back to the very beginning again, you know, like what were you guys doing whilst you were trying to get your business up and running? Like, yes, it was crazy because you've got your hand in maybe your full-time job.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've got your kid. You guys have Wolfie. How are
Our
you?
baby wolf.
Your baby boy, and it's
Yep.
like, you know, it's choosing. It is mindset. I think so much of it is mindset, and you waking up
Yep.
every day, you know, like you said, with a vision. You've got your why. It's got to be strong enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I like this quote, and this is from reading as well, but it says, like, when you have the opportunity to choose to do something or nothing, like, always choose to do something.
Yep.
And that's really big. I feel like when we're coaching too in this program, is like, hey, you don't know where to start, but like one small thing, like the thing leads you to the thing. And,
Yeah.
you know, success doesn't happen overnight. And if it does, it doesn't last, right? Like, we're building like longevity and legacy
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, because it's not about like the raw moments. Like I've never been a big fan of like motivational YouTube channels, right? And like, you know, mindset's big, absolutely. Um, but there is a very strong purpose. And I think success is more about like what you say no to. So you start saying no to the things that just held you back before. So it's kind of easy at that point
Very good.
because when you just know, like, I got to take care of my kids, I got to take care of my business, I got to just move forward because I know there's a dream here. We have to fit that full time job in until like budget and like life is taken care of. But when you know, like, hey, that job's gonna go away soon, it's pretty simple at that point.
yeah.
It's just like, dude, I'm not watching sports games. I'm not playing video games. I'm not like drinking on Friday
Yeah.
night with the boys, right? Even though I
Yeah.
love some of that stuff. And, you know, like there's some fun that we had, you know, with that, you know, kind of like things that we did before. But it's like that, you know, we didn't eat out as much, right?
Yeah.
Just like we got to eat at home. We're living on a budget. Like, and that's a entrepreneurial mindset of like, hey, when we are here because we're going there, then we'll be living a little bit differently, but it's just a short-term sacrifice.
Yeah, and that's what Adolfo always reminded me. Hey, this is just for like right now. And
Yeah.
it really, I think, just encompassing all that, I would have understood it's just taking your non-productive hours and making them productive. So, I mean, I think sometimes people get tripped up where they're like, you know, I have to do this for like 5, 6, 7, almost 8 hours, and this is the only way it's going to work. But it's like what Adolfo said, he traded those things. Like, we didn't watch movies, especially when we first started. And it's like those are like little luxuries. And now we can pop in like a TV show that's like
Okay,
an
we're watching Peaky Blinders show now, okay?
we're watching a show now, but
We want to pick up on the accent. We want to like, you know,
Did
we
you
got
say
all of our
Peaky Blinders?
Peaky Blinders,
Yeah.
absolutely. We're watching.
Yeah. Let's just say that was a really good TV series. Yeah. They
Thomas
need to bring
Shelby.
more TV series out like that. Yeah, but it's so true. You know, I love what you said there about success is really about saying no to things that you know is not contributing to the vision and the purpose, you know, that you guys have set out for your lives. And so, yeah, it's short term. What's that saying? Short term losses for long term gain, or something
That's
like
it.
that.
Yeah, that's it.
Something along those
Yep.
lines. Knowledge is power, isn't it? At the end of the day, it really is. There's so much out there for people to learn. Let's just be honest. And again, it comes down to a choice. You're choosing whether or not you're going to go out and get that knowledge, or if you're going to just sit on Netflix for hours watching TV series. Because it's so
Yeah.
easy to do. It's so easy to do. Yeah.
It is. And then actually, when you start thinking about your mindset and you're like, well, why do I crave that? Right? Like, is that really what I want? Or do I want the goals that I said I wanted when I started this? Things are a little bit difficult, but the challenges are meant to like mold you into something different. Like, and you got to overcome them. Like, those challenges are there for you to overcome them. Like, and so we just have big beliefs, right? And so we understand that when these challenges come, you know, I'm very big. I'm like, we don't stay in negative. Like, if challenges come, I'm like, I don't even talk about it. I'm like, yeah, that happened. Moving on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not going to dominate our day, you
It
know, like
can't.
we're not going to let something negative, like,
Yeah. It's not
shit,
gonna help. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
So
feel the emotion of whatever the challenge is at the time, but it's like, all right, have your little moment. Okay, now we got to remember the purpose and the goals that we've set out, and we got to keep going. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. I'm
Yep.
learning that for sure. Because at first he was like, okay, move on. And I'm like, but I can't move on, blah, blah, blah. So my mindset has grown and I've had to change. And it's hurtful, like physically too, to be like, not, I guess, like, what is it? Have like an emotional response to things. So like being emotionally intelligent is also something that's important with mindset as well. Like not to
Yeah,
let everything like
100%.
sway you. So
Yeah.
it's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we did get a question, and I do want to bring this in because I want to try and encourage it, to get people watching the podcast and also asking their questions. We had one about interiors. So, Stevie, this one might be for you. Yeah, it's a question for you. Okay, so we had a question from Camilla Ruda. Shout out to Camilla. And she asked, what is essential interior design items or furniture when it comes to your Airbnb or setting up your Airbnb? What would you say are the essential interior design items or furniture that you would place into a property to do well as an Airbnb?
Yeah, this is fun. I've been teaching on this too, like in my
Love it.
class that we just had, and I think the biggest thing is like trying to get as many beds. That's important, but if you can get like a king bed, even if it's in like a cozier, smaller, quaint room, it's better and like curating that space just for like sleep rather than like leisure. So I've just been encouraging like more sleeping, the right size beds. Also couches that are comfortable, I guess, like
Yes.
more of a sectional rather than like one that's just kind of long, but something that has like moving parts so that it kind of just accommodates families, or if people kind of want to rearrange some of the furniture, that's like a good one. So like a really good couch. I'm really big on like accent rugs and like mirrors because they're very timeless, and you can dress up a space so well, or even separate a space if you have the appropriate like rug size, or you can bring in a mirror. Like I said, that's timeless because we've had situations where when I was first starting, I put certain decor in and like after a year I was like, I hate this. Like why did I do that? It's so funky. But adding like those mirrors, like one, you can move a mirror, but also too, like I'm really big on like the psychology as well when you're decorating the space. So like people like to look at themselves and they enjoy the space a little bit more if you have more of those elements. And then I always encourage, I would say like crisp linens that are white. I guess linen actually is like a type of fabric. So any like white would be good. White towels, white bedding, and then you're just adding very simple like quilts or maybe like a few decorative pillows.
I love
But
that.
that's like my staple things, like king beds or at least beds that are the same size. A really great couch that's like multifunctional, rugs and like mirrors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. And when you say multifunctional with the sofas, are you meaning like sofa bed as well? Because I love that you touched on, more heads on beds, basically. Like it brings
in a comfortable way, right? Because
more
people will
profit
sleep
as
on
well.
anything if they have to, right? So you can create that space. It's better. But yeah, sofa beds, if you can find the right one. A lot of couches are, there's a lot of, it's like really popular right now to have like, I forgot what it's called, but it's like the ottomans that you can put together to make like a huge space. So something like that. And then you can just throw a sheet over. It helps a lot when it's in like a small space too.
Yeah. So there you have it. Yep. Comfortable beds, everything, crisp white linen, none of these do-it-yourself bedding. I don't know about you guys. When I go to book an Airbnb, if they don't have that white linen, I'm like, I'm not.
It's the psychology. Yeah, it's just the psychology.
Yeah.
It's like,
for me, in my mind, I'm like, they've washed it themselves, and not everyone knows how to wash linen properly. That's been used by multiple guests over and over again. Yeah. So the white says to me, almost like hotel standard, and you've used like a linen company. So
White doesn't like it's not forgiving. So like if that thing is white, you're like it's been well taken care of, it's clean.
Exactly. Yeah. And timeless as well. Timeless design is everything. And I love that you talked about that too. Because I learned those lessons too, the hard way. You're like, oh my gosh, I've got this blank canvas. I'm gonna do this and do that. And you're like, no. There's actually like a process. There's steps to follow when it comes to, you don't just decorate. Like there's a few things you need to consider. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're doing a themed property, then that's a little bit different. If you've got a property near, I don't know, Legoland, for example, because we've got one of those. That's awesome. We had the interior decorator that worked for us, did this incredible, it did it up just so amazing with the Lego theme and everything. And I was blown away. I was like, okay, that's where, if you're near theme parks or anything like that, take advantage of that and then, kind of theme it in. Using Pinterest, get your inspiration.
Oh my gosh, yes, everybody listen. Pinterest. Pinterest. I know it's like a 2010 pastime. Like for me, it was like high school, but that it never fails. Like it's a search engine. You could find everything on Pinterest. It's a good one.
So proud of you guys and all that you've achieved and all that you're doing with baby boy in tow. And you're an inspiration, and I really appreciate all the insight that you've brought as well today. And I know that it's going to be so valuable to anyone listening to this podcast. So thank you.
No, thank you for like the opportunity. I think the craziest thing that's happened is like when we had the opportunity to meet James, when we got into the program, there was like a special going on. So we actually got like a one-on-one with him. And I just remember getting off of that call and that like skyrocketed my belief because I was like, one day we're going to be their friends. And he was like, yeah, babe. And then we went to bed. But like here we are now. And that's the power of like relationship and taking action. So like, this is so cool. It's like a super life accomplishment for us. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, in closing, Noble Oversight, if people want to stay in your properties, how can they book? Where can they find you?
Absolutely.
Some links.
Absolutely. Yeah. So www.nobleoversight.com. Nice. That's going to take you to our website, and it has our property direct booking website, and we have our discounts there. Of course, we definitely want you to book there.
We do an Instagram,
and then we also have our Instagram connected to that website as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
A huge thank you to Adolfo and Stevie for joining me today and for sharing their incredible journey of getting started in Airbnb. Make sure to join us next week as we sit down with Steven of Comprayo from Phoenix, Arizona, who recently launched, get this, a 24-unit hotel in Tulum. On top of that, Steven has also built a luxury apartment portfolio across Mexico and was able to leave his corporate career to go all in on his business. You don't want to miss this next episode.